People have immediately said, this is degenerate. This is morally perverse. You shouldn't do this every single time. And then we take it for granted years later down the line. If you know anything about our history, communism. You like the weekend? Thank a union for that. Thank some communists for that, okay? Just curious, but have you addressed the pirate software controversies? No. What? That he was like shitty in a WoW raid and people hate him because they think he's condescending? I don't care. Yeah. Motherfuckers would be like, bro, have you seen this guy's controversy? And the controversy is that he's arrogant and everybody hates that. And then that's it. No, it's his stance to get that one EU gaming petition. Oh, yeah. It's the stop killing games thing that like really restarted the stuff. I mean, look, one of my major disagreements with Pirate Software is that I'm pro piracy and he's not, even though his name is Pirate Software. I don't have any opinions on him. He's seemingly a nice guy. And it doesn't seem like he's like I mean, yeah, he's a dick, but but like my major disagreement always has been that I am pro piracy and he is not. So I don't know what else his opinions are. I don't know anything about like people are saying, and he worked at Blizzard, don't you know? Like, I know that those are like memes apparently because he says he works at Blizzard or something. I don't know anything. I don't really care. I genuinely don't really care. But the Stop Killing Games initiative, I didn't really pay close attention to, but I mean, they are killing games. It's true. It's capitalism that's killing games. And I assume the Stop Killing Games initiative is about like that. Maybe. I don't know. Is about IP retention. Okay. It's a valid initiative, but I don't know why people care about them so much. Yeah, I think the initiative in and of itself is more important than if you want me to like look into that. I would say that the Stop Killing Games initiative, I'm not too familiar with it, but if it's a consumer rights initiative, then I'm on board with it. It's great. Sounds fantastic. He just became a lolcow for other streamers. Yeah, I think there's like a lot of people that get in the crosshairs of like some of these classic streamers, and then it's pretty hard to navigate in that space after you get in the crosshairs. Like there's hundreds of random guys online that are just like Pirate Software, thousands even. It's gamer drama pervert content. Yeah, I think so. I could look into the Stop Killing Games initiative, though. That sounds like something I'd be on board with, if that makes sense. One dude made one video a day for the last 3 weeks about the same thing, lol. Wait, really? You don't care about the initiative? You hate gaming? Be honest. What is this? Stop Killing Games. Stop Killing Games, a consumer movement started the challenge of legality of publishers destroying video games they have sold to customers. Yeah, this is ridiculous. Wait, is this about fucking not allowing? Is this about how since we've moved into digital copies that like nascent games that are not updated any longer get destroyed? Yeah, I don't know why anyone would be against this, okay? It is fucking bullshit. It is ridiculous. I am a big advocate for, maybe because I'm a boomer, but I'm already a big advocate for hard copies regardless. It is crazy that a lot of the movement towards digital has allowed these corporations to basically go, yeah, you don't have this game anymore. And not only do you not have this game anymore in your library, even though you fucking paid for it, it's just like, we're taking it away. We're going to take away this game from your library without telling you. It's like, can you imagine? You go to the store, you buy a copy, you buy a Game Boy, and you buy a copy of like Pokemon, okay? You buy a Game Boy, you buy a copy of Pokemon, and then later down the line, Nintendo sends assassins to your house to steal the copy of Pokemon from your house. Past a certain point, Nintendo's like, hey, guess what, dude? No, it's not yours anymore. The reason why I'm using Nintendo as an example is because they are the company that would do that. If given the opportunity, they would do that. Game Boy really showing your vintage, old man? No, the reason why I'm saying Game Boy and the reason why I'm saying Pokemon is because, like, it's old enough. Do you understand? It's old enough that they can, that it's like, it's done. It's older. It's old enough that they, it's basically something they have literally done already. Nintendo has done this already in their digital archives. No, they've already taken out some older games and stuff. But in any case, it's fucking ridiculous. I like, see, this is one of those things where it's like, I don't care who supports this. I don't care who's against this. If you want my take on it, I think it's insane that we have now already, as a cost-cutting measure, in some instances, moved away from physical copies to digital. And there's some benefits to digital copies as opposed to physical. But the fact that like big publishers can just take something from your library that you have purchased, that's in your library, the fact that they could do that is completely unacceptable. Yeah, it's not just removing digital copies, it's killing servers for online-only games, making them unplayable offline. That's also ridiculous as well. I think that you should always have the optionality to be able to when you purchase a game, whether it's an online game or an offline game, like, you should be able to have the optionality to be able to, like, enjoy it offline or something, or even do your own personal settings or something, personal servers or something, like, with very, or if you're not going to service it any longer, then, I don't know, release the fucking IP or something so that people can patch it themselves and people can, like, use a network of devs could just, like, keep things alive if they want to. Just, like, release the code source and open source the game. I don't really understand why people are against that. I guess, like, because they just don't want to show some of the proprietary codes. Is that what it is? The Crew is the best example. Ubisoft completely took that game away. Nobody play it now, even if you still own it. This is exactly what Stop Killing Games is, Lamau. No, this is something that I've talked about before because I'm a fucking boomer. I already hate the idea that I'm pro piracy. 2, I'm pro open source software in general. Of course, I'm going to be fucking for this initiative. I'm also pro Gaben in a weird way, even though he has created an entire generation of gambling addicts. I am pro Gaben when it comes to, you know, his classic take. Piracy is a service problem. He's right. Linus and Luke from Linus Tech Tips have talked about this a lot. It's weird because you can't legislate forcing companies to support games in perpetuity, but there should be some sort of recourse for consumers when companies no longer support servers for online-only games. Look, I'm not a developer. I don't know how to do code or anything like that, but I suspect that there is probably a way to hide, like, some of the most important proprietary aspects of your code, and not release that while also simultaneously, like, because you don't want vulnerabilities for your newer games that you're creating, right? And I assume that if you were to, like, release all of the information so that people could just, like, set up their own servers or whatever, then in that case, I can understand kind of what the developer would not want out there. But having said that, I'm sure there's a workaround. Create a public domain for video games. I love that. You can absolutely do that. There are pieces that can be condensed or separated, but you can still have online functionality and capabilities. If that was the case, they wouldn't have Denuvo/anti-piracy software in the first place. Steam isn't completely DRM free though, so it isn't like you own all the games you buy on Steam. No, I know. And not only that, but Steam has also taken up an interesting initiative where I guess, like, MasterCard or Visa can now decide that certain games are illegal to play, and then you can't fucking buy them. Like, it's crazy. That is also crazy. And I know there's some freak-ass games out there, but that should be up to the discretion of Steam in and of itself, and not the discretion of your fucking credit card company. What do you mean? To be fair, it was gross games. No, I know that. I'm not making a value judgment on the games themselves, okay? But I don't like the precedent. I do not like the precedent of MasterCard and Visa, which already are fairly restrictive in terms of payment processors. Like, this is something that sex workers talk about a lot. Part of the reason why sex workers were really on board with cryptocurrency from the jump was because MasterCard and Visa were like not allowing any sort of payments to be conducted that was sex work, even if it was legal sex work. And in many instances, it is legal sex work, and they still would not allow it to happen. So, the idea that like a third party middleman that is a payment processor gets to dictate what you can and can't buy is kind of crazy, especially without any sort of legislation, especially without like any sort of argument as to why they're doing this. You know what I mean? And considering that it's like an insane precedent, you could just like add whatever the fuck you decide on there as a game or as a thing that you're purchasing that they don't want you to purchase. What shit capitals would say no to all that money law? It's actually crazy how much the Steam payment processor thing is similar to Trump's immigration policy, starting on a false pretense to eventually gain more control to do crazier things. Oh yeah. Apparently Visa/MasterCard were lobbied by an Australian Christian group. That is the least surprising thing I've ever heard. Almost all of these initiatives, like anti-porn initiatives, fun fact, are like 90% of anti-porn initiatives in this country are started off by Mormon advocacy groups that actually hide that they're Mormon advocacy groups by using like Scientific Happiness Foundation or whatever, or the Secular Science Foundation, but it's usually just still Mormons. A lot of the anti-porn laws come from the Christian right movement, and the same goes for stuff like this as well. They've been pressured by right-wing Puritan evangelists, which are already gearing up to also include games with any LGBT teams. Yeah, which is ironic because a lot of these guys who are like, oh, don't take away my weird porn games, right, are also the same guys that are right-wing themselves. And they are the same guys who constantly complain about like gay shit in video games. And it's weird because like on the one hand, the entry point for a lot of these like puritanical right-wing Christian groups is going to be banning like the weird games that they like, while simultaneously the ultimate goal that they have is to ban, you know, LGBT shit in any video game, ultimately, to say, oh, well, you know, we have to, this is also gross. This is also moral decay. So then what? Do they turn around and go, no, actually, this is just like they're destroying, what is it? Sweet Baby Inc. So they're based now. So the puritanical right-wing Christian nationalist advocacy groups are now good because they don't like homosexuals in video games. Anyway, we moved on from stop killing games now to the other Steam thing. But remember, in most circumstances, the I'll know it when I see it method, which is unironically something that the Supreme Court has put in their decision when talking about obscenity laws and restricting First Amendment artistic expression, it's kind of the best policy to go along with the I'll know it when I see it policy. Because like ultimately curbing artistic expression is not good. It's not a good thing at all, especially considering that virtually every single new wave of art has always come with a lot of resistance. People have immediately said, this is degenerate, this is morally perverse, you shouldn't do this, every single time. And then we take it for granted years later down the line. If you know anything about art history, you will realize that every single new meta in art has come along and people have literally said the exact same shit where it's like, whoa, 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 you can't do this. This is completely unacceptable. This is moral decay. And then we just take it for granted. So, you know, it's not great. Yeah, here it is. Australian anti-porn group claims responsible for Steam's new censorship rules and victory against porn-sick, brain-rotted pedo gamer fetishes, and things only get weirder from there. Collective Shout, an Australian anti-pornography group, has claimed credit for Steam's recent removal of a large number of sexually explicit games and new stricter moderation guidelines regarding such material. In a statement to PC Gamer, Valve cited pressure from payment processors like credit card companies and PayPal for the move, while Collective Shout touted its open letter and consumer campaign targeted payment processors for inciting that pressure. This was first reported by Waypoint, which has since pulled its 2 articles on the subject without explanation. The article's author, Anna Valens, has alleged that Vice's parent company, Savage Ventures, removed the articles due to concerns over their controversial content rather than any error in the reporting. Collective Shout began in 2009, co-founded by self-described pro-life feminist Melinda Tankard Reyes. Collective Shout describes itself as a grassroots campaigning movement against the objectification of women and sexualization of girls in media, advertising, and popular culture. To date, it has been involved in unsuccessful efforts to ban Snoop Dogg and Eminem from Australia, a successful 2015 campaign to prevent Tyler, the Creator, from touring Australia, a successful 2015 campaign to pressure Target and Kmart. Unc, why'd you download the accent? I'm sorry, because she's Australian. All right. To stop selling Grand Theft Auto 5 in Australia. A petition to ban the game No Mercy from sale, which ultimately led to the developers pulling it from Steam. An unsuccessful petition to ban Detroit Become Human from sale in Australia. So here's the thing. Okay. Have you noticed? Or nor, have you noticed something here? That's ridiculous. They have ridiculous ass fucking demands. They're just trying to fucking hit whatever they can. Do you understand? What do you mean Detroit Become Human? What the fuck? Because it's cringe? Is that what it is? You don't like that it's cringe? Detroit Become Human is a fucking, like, not so subtle allegory about racism. That's it. It has messianic imagery. Oh, that's why. Nice. On July 7th, Collective Shout shared an update on his NoMercyChange.org campaign, calling on supports to email payment processors, including PayPal, MasterCard, Visa, and Discover, to demand that they cut ties with Steam and itch.io over hundreds of rape, incest, and child abuse games. This was followed by an open letter from Collective Shout asking that they immediately cease processing payments on Steam and itch.io and any other platforms hosting similar games. So, like, there's some validity, but the reason why they're doing this is not a decent reason. Okay. And of course, when they get any kind of fucking any kind of W, they just expand on it and they go crazy over it. Here's Moist video on this.
There's huge censorship going on in gaming right now. I'm sure a lot of you saw Steam a few days back announced that hundreds of games have been pulled from their catalog because of the efforts of a group known as Collective Shout. Collective Shout is an organization that has been forcing payment processors to bully platforms into removing games they deem unfit for sale due to the themes around them. And for Steam's case, they targeted hundreds of adult games that featured like rape and incest. And a lot of people were pumping their fist like, yeah, that's good. How could you possibly be mad at that? Less degeneracy and disgusting shit on the platform. This is a big W across the board. It's not censorship if it's things I don't like being taken down. Obviously, like every weapon out there, this is only going to be used for good. Clearly, they're only going to use this power to take down very bad, gross things, which is the most low IQ take you could ever have. Collective Shout, just yesterday, has now also gone after itch.io, and they have removed every single not suitable for work game from their platform. Not just rape and incest games, all adult games. We have de-indexed all adult NSFW content from our browse and search pages. We understand this action is sudden and disruptive, and we are truly sorry for the frustration and confusion caused by this change. Recently, we came under scrutiny from our payment processors regarding the nature of some content hosted on itch.io. Due to a game titled No Mercy, which was temporarily available on itch.io before being banned back in April, the organization Collective Shout launched the campaign against Steam and itch.io, directing concerns to our payment processors about the nature of certain content found on both platforms. So this is the playbook here. Collective Shout is a very powerful organization who somehow has a lot of leverage on payment processors. I don't know if they're just over there giving them perpetual wet willies or they got some serious dirt on like the upper echelon elites in the food chain at the payment processors.
No, it's none of those things. I know what it is because I am victim to these kinds of fucking cry campaigns all the time. It's just the weaponization of bots and Karenism. The power that email campaigns hold in the minds of the boomer in the minds of boomers is so crazy. And considering that all of these companies have, like, 50-year-olds in positions of power, 50-year-old plus people in positions of power, they get like 10, 15 emails directly to their email inbox from people that are turning around and just like straightforwardly sometimes lying about shit or sometimes making a valid complaint. Okay? It freaks them the fuck out. Okay? Companies do not understand how this kind of messaging campaign works. Like they don't get that, like, the people behind it might be insane. The people behind it might have alternative reasons, like, or nefarious purpose here. Like, they just don't have any capacity. Do not look up No Mercy. No. I understand. No Mercy is like a valid one. But make no mistake, just because No Mercy is like a valid thing to complain about does not mean that, like, Grand Theft Auto 5 is a valid complaint or Detroit Become Human is a valid complaint. These guys don't actually tackle this kind of stuff from a framework of, like, honesty, morality, or any sort of, like, real reason. They'll just go after edge cases like No Mercy that are, within the confines of reason to get banned, to demand banning. Okay. But their goal is to basically fucking take out anything. Like, their goal is to basically take out anything they possibly can. It's to get your foot in the door so that you have a strong foothold and you get a couple scalps, and then you can expand on that. You can continue doing these sorts of messaging campaigns. And then there's like, there's obviously like a lot of media coverage around it. I mean, fucking Charlie knows who this company is. You know what I mean? Charlie knows who this group is. That means that they have successfully gotten a bunch of scalps and now are seen as like a powerful entity. Now corporations will be more afraid of this group. Now there will be more people who are like-minded who will join the efforts of this group. Okay? What the fuck is No Mercy? I think it's like a rape game. Like, it's literally a video game that's like promoting rape and incestual rape and pedophilia, things like that. It's like gross. That one is, I'm not talking about the game No Mercy. It's like valid to freak out over that or to demand demand something like that gets taken down. That's not my point at all. That should be banned. Come on. Chatters, you're misunderstanding my point. Okay? It's kind of like this. There's a difference between someone who is a Holocaust denier actively spreading anti-Semitic conspiracy theories and someone who is simply anti-Israel while simultaneously combating anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. Do you understand? When companies that are supposed to be tasked with like this kind of sanitation do not actually take the necessary steps to be as careful as they possibly can be, and as a matter of fact, weaponize allegations of anti-Semitism, all of a sudden, you basically have diluted the fucking, you've diluted the issue. It no longer has the same level of power. At first, it will be powerful. At first, companies will get scared. And then eventually it'll go back to fucking complete free speech regardless, like maximalist free speech positions regardless, because you've already lost the plot. You've done it too much. Later in the video, Charlie thinks it's just a feminist group because they wrap their messaging around protecting women. Yeah. It is pretty nefarious. It is pretty nefarious that these guys will also say like, "Oh, we're doing this to protect women," when in fact it's like a very clearly a right-wing, a right-wing Christian advocacy group. It's not. It's like TERFs and SWERFs that say that they're feminists and that's why they're anti-sex work from a feminist position, or they're anti-trans from a feminist position. It's just fucking bullshit. It's an obfuscation that some people find themselves swept away by. This is the lady, Australian political activist, writer, speaker, media commentator. She describes herself as an advocate for women and girls and is a pro-life feminist. Her campaigns to ban X-rated films have gained national attention in Australia. Tancred Rice is a founder of Collective Shout, a nonprofit organization best known for leading a successful campaign to block the artist Tyler, the Creator, from touring in Australia due to lyrics considered misogynistic, as well as the removal of multiple Steam games alleged to have depicted rape, incest, and child abuse, which journalistic investigations found also include non-pornographic games containing LGBT themes. There it is. there's a weird handshake that takes place here with like right-wing gamers who want to play like the rape games and get mad and say this is a First Amendment violation, but then also hate gay themes in the games, which Melissa Tankard Rice also hates. As a matter of fact, I would go so far as to say that Melissa Tankard is using the understandable position of trying to get these like, you know, incestuous pedophilic rape games banned to get a foothold, to create a precedent, to show that she is capable of doing that, so she can literally ban the fucking the gay games. Yeah, that specific game is already banned on itch.io. The pressure still forced them to delist every single NSFW thing on their website. This doesn't only affect things that one person thinks are objectionable. Yeah. Tankard Rice was born in Mildura, Victoria. She completed her secondary education in Mildura High School and then studied journalism at the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology. She took up cadetship at the Sunraysia Daily, where she worked from 1983 to 1987. As a recipient of the Rotary Foundation Scholarship, she furthered her studies in journalism at the California State University, Long Beach, during 1987 and 1988. The loony left, or no, the loony left is at it again. Anyway, event Inspiring Christian Series. In 2009, Tankard Rice spoke at a forum called Event Inspiring Christian Series in the Belconnen Baptist Church on behalf of Sheridan Voisey. Yeah, Tankard Rice was on the founding committee of Carinia House for Mothers and Babies and supported accommodation and outreach service for women facing pregnancy without support, and Erin House transition housing for women post-birth. She worked as a consultant for NGOs with a focus on global poverty, including World Vision Australia. Tankard Rice is a contributing editor for 5 books published by Duffy and Snellgrove. Works co-authored. In response to criticism and racist views are pro-life and thus she can't be a feminist. She self-described radical feminist publishers at SpinFX Press, defended Rice feminism as authentic. SpinFX Press held anti-trans events. Of course they did. Yep. Women's Forum Australia is a conservative think tank established in 2005 with the aim of influencing research and policy-related work to affect the social, economic, and health of Australian women. It has also been described as focusing on anti-trans campaigning and having links to the far-right politics, with members campaigning against abortion access, transgender rights, and promoting conspiracy theories around Wi-Fi. Always, dude. I feel like it's like I unearth a rock and underneath it immediately there's like fucking random ass anti-trans shit, and then throw in some Wi-Fi 5G conspiracies on the pile for fun.
Like they got proof they're in the Epstein files or some shit, but they have got these payment processors by the nutsack, and they are squeezing the piss from their balls. So now the payment processors are LARPing as the moral authority on what people are allowed to spend.
This part is absolutely correct from Charlie. I think one of the most damaging aspects of this is that like Steam and everyone else will capitulate to payment processors because there's a major consolidation of power there, and payment processors are obviously willing to cave to a email campaign from a psychotic right-wing woman. Okay? The opportunities there are endless. Okay? It's fucking ridiculous. And by that, I mean opportunities for censorship there are endless. It will not stop at just like video games that you think are fucking crazy and I think are fucking crazy and are totally ban-worthy. And it will move on to whatever kind of depiction of LGBT in video games, or even the depiction of an abortion in a video game, for example, or in any kind of art. Okay? So it's clear. Why not movies and TV shows? I think that there is a stronger foothold in culture for movies and TV shows. They've tried that for movies and TV shows in the past. The video game industry, I would say, is a obviously a much younger industry, even though it's a much larger industry now than movies. So they like boomers understand what a fucking movie and a TV show is, right? Boomers don't fully comprehend what a video game is, and that's the reason why they think like if you ask a boomer if they see depictions of violence in a movie and whether that contributes to fucking school shootings, they'll say, of course not. What do you mean? I grew up watching violent TV shows. I didn't become a school shooter. But if you tell a boomer that Grand Theft Auto is leading to school shootings, they'll go, oh my God, that does make sense. It's a video game and I don't fucking understand it. That's because they don't understand what fucking video games are. They can't see it as like literally the same shit that movies are. They don't see it as like art. They see it as something demonic. Do you understand? I do hate that every awful initiative of censorship, ironically enough, people think is like led by leftists, but almost always the successful censorious initiatives always come from the right. Always. Always. It is always backed by right-wing sentiment. Israel is a great example of this. Israel is a right-wing country. Israel's underlying ideology, Zionism, is a maximalist right-wing position. It's a fascist ideology. So Israel's censorship campaign masquerades as like, trying to combat anti-Semitism, which you would automatically assume is like a liberal perspective or even a left-wing perspective. But in fact, it's not about that at all. And it's entirely about making sure that the feelings and the objectives of a right-wing country in committing a genocide is accomplished. It's always right-wingers. Even at the peak of liberal censorship, when people were talking about cancel culture, when people were consistently talking about like how liberals don't want to have conversations, they don't want to have discussions. The most successful advocacy for censorship in the form of book bannings were coming from the right. It was right-wing Christian groups. That has never changed. That has literally never changed. And yet, the greatest trick that the modern right-wing movement pulled was to take over the idea that they were actually for free speech and that it was the liberals and the leftists that were anti-free speech. Is so crazy. Cancel culture is almost uniparty. It's like bipartisan, or rather it's apolitical. Like people just want to cancel whatever their ideological opposition is in general. But the ones that are most successful and the ones that are most ridiculous are almost always right-wing groups, right-wing advocacy groups that might claim that they're feminists, for example, or might claim that they're liberals, or might claim that they're leftists, might claim that they're progressive, but they're still fucking right-wing. Is it effing again? What's happening? It's not happening to me. I don't see it. A mini F. Okay. Let's continue with Charlie.
The money they earned on. So they're making these sweeping censorship changes to Steam and itch.io. Steam, they made it very easy for the public to not make a big stink about it because they went after a very low-hanging fruit target that most people aren't going to be upset about. Oh no, you lost all your rape and, incest games. Boo-hoo, call the fucking ambulance. But what people don't realize is that is clearly just the first step here. Collective Shout has now already taken that, which hasn't even been like a full week, and it's translated it to wiping all adult content from itch.io, a totally separate platform using the same methodology of having the payment processors threaten to leave them. Censorship is not something that is a good thing. This is not a positive thing. Yoko Taro also came forward saying, like, this is pretty bad stuff, that other countries can now limit everyone else's free speech. He's right. That's not great. You don't like to see that. And let's go ahead and extend this to its natural conclusion here. As Collective Shout becomes more and more successful at censoring games, other organizations will spring up and do the same for things Collective Shout maybe doesn't want to see censored. Like, who's to say, with this censorship, now that it's proven that it can be done by having the payment processors threaten to pull out of these services, if you can bully them through the payment processors, you win. That's checkmate. Who's to say an organization doesn't pop up that wants to take away all kinds of LGBTQ representation in games? And now that they have a proven formula to follow, they could easily spring up and be probably very successful. Another organization could come about where they believe that...
What's your opinion on censorship? Surely you are not a free speech absolutist. No one is a free speech absolutist, and I myself am not a free speech absolutist either, obviously. There's no such thing as a free speech absolutist. There's obviously harmful expressions that everyone understandably wants not to be shared. I mean, the greatest example of this is CSAM, right? CSAM is universally considered not protected by free speech. Defamation is another one, right? Like, there are very few free speech maximalists. Even in the United States of America, there are limitations to your speech, okay? Not being able to yell fire in a crowded movie theater, for example, right? Like, that's the most common one that people use, or death threats and things like that. There's no such thing as like a complete maximalist free speech position. America, on the other hand, given its hegemonic superpower status, is the most expansive when it comes to lack of restrictions. Okay, look at this guy, bro. Obviously, that's not protected under free speech. Dog, what do you mean? You're free speech maximalism is not real for this reason. I'm describing to you, and you're just going, nah, that's of course not protected under free speech. Okay, so you understand what my position is. That's my point. My point is, there are certain things that everybody draws a line at. That's the point. You can't just say, nope, this is just speech, so it's allowed. Okay? In terms of the Constitution, I just described to you the American free speech boundaries that are constitutionally protected, okay? And even said that there is still speech in the United States of America, despite the fact that it is the most expansive free speech protections afforded. Gave you the reason as to why it's the most expansive, because it's the hegemonic superpower, so it doesn't have any sort of like censorship fears that like countries that are under the thumb of America might have, okay? And yet, even then, there are understandably some limitations to said speech. It's that chatter says that, but CSAM has literally only been not free speech for under 50 years. So the point is, everyone has like understandable limitations for it. Okay, everyone has understandable limitations for it. But I think the moment that it like enters limitation of artistic expression that like one advocacy group has decided is like inappropriate, it gets into tricky territory. And in that circumstance, it should be handled by the third party, the private entity that is involved in making sure that certain kinds of content are not allowed on their platform, and rather, instead, in this story, it is being controlled by a couple payment processors, and that is very scary. A couple payment processors in a place like Australia get enough stink associated with like one game or a bunch of different games, and then all of a sudden they take that pressure because they have unimaginable power. Again, corporate consolidation is the problem here. Corporate consolidation creates this environment where three payment processors can basically take out whatever the fuck they want from the rotation. They can just like go to another private company like Steam or itch.io or whatever and say, if you don't take this, we are no longer going to process payments from you. Okay? You cannot make money anymore. It's like Swift. It's like the power that America has in terms of global commerce, because everything is traded on the dollar. America could just like shut off the faucet like that if they choose to do so. That's why it's the hegemonic superpower. It's almost like sanctions out of nowhere. Imagine if the Japanese censorship was what ruled the world. Yeah. Personally, I just don't like any control being used by payment processor. I would rather have government agencies and oversight or other actual institutions rather than a payment processor. I don't like private corporations having that much power over people's money. Yes, private corporations, private multinational corporations that get influenced by a foreign country's advocacy group, like an NGO in a foreign nation, are now making global decisions. That is truly terrifying, because it obviously leads to whatever the fuck they want to silence or suppress. It's just like messed up.
In-rated games just shouldn't exist. Games should be focused purely to appeal to a younger demographic. They shouldn't be deep, thought-provoking games. There should be no violence. There could easily be a very puritanical organization that comes forward making similar pushes for censorship. I don't know how delusional you have to be to think that somehow this is only ever going to be used against bad things. It's not, and it's already extending way beyond what it started with for Collective Shout. They started with a very easy win on a genre of games that most people aren't really going to miss, and they have already extended that to just broad adult content from another platform, itch.io. And as they continue to be more successful, more organizations are going to follow that blueprint, follow those footsteps, and be successful as well.
Is it even controversial to say that games that depict rape, incest, or contain gay themes are fine? Game of Thrones is the most popular TV show ever, and it depicts rape, incest, naked women, and men. Yeah, within moderation. If Game of Thrones literally was exclusively about raping whoever you want and doing incest and pedophilia, then obviously Game of Thrones would also probably be banned for a good fucking reason. Okay, because if we're comparing Game of Thrones to fucking the game Mercy, then yeah, it's not even in the same fucking wavelength there. You see what I mean? That's why I said the most appropriate term here, the most appropriate way to analyze this is taking a case-by-case approach rather than a blanket censorship regime. Ironically enough, that's like really vague and it's left up to like individuals, and I totally understand why people go, wait a minute, that's not like well codified. But that is quite literally what the Supreme Court in the United States decided when it came down to obscenity that goes beyond a certain obscenity that goes beyond depiction. Okay, that is beyond the pale, that is inappropriate and should not be protected by the First Amendment protections. And I kind of understand why it has to be a case-by-case thing, because if you don't do that, then you can ban Game of Thrones, right? Like you cannot make a blanket ban on shit like this, because it will lead to heavy censorship.
Censoring other things that maybe Collective Shout doesn't want to see censored. It's going to just be fucking pandemonium, because it is clear now that these platforms are willing to go belly up, roll over, and suck the fucking schmeat of the payment processing cartel that shackles them. These payment processing...
Also, so much of this is still a problem born out of capitalism. Like, this is quite literally, this is private corporations making decisions about people's lives that they are not privy to. It's just
patriots who all of a sudden care so like deeply about morality
that you might want to do
to get these platforms to censor themselves at the behest of the organizations that are strong-arming them.
This is why Hollywood made the rating system R versus PG, decided on a case-by-case, nuanced review, industry standard. Exactly. There needs to be, and there is that. There is that. There is a industry standard for gaming as well.
It's absurd, and it doesn't stop there. If you do any amount of research on Collective Shout, you'll see that it's not just like adult games. They also went after Detroit Become Human and Grand Theft Auto 5 for absolutely fucking outlandish reasons. Like, this is actual horse hockey.
Yeah, if you describe most people's favorite movies by just bad stuff in this uncharitable way, free of context, you'd ban almost everything. Context is so important in art. And also, you gotta kind of let some crazy shit slide. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta let some crazy shit slide. This is art. At the end of the day, you have to let some crazy shit slide. It's the reason why I say this is because, like, there's that classic George Santos conversation that he had. Who was he having it with? I think it was like with Gianmarco maybe, or someone else, where George Santos was asked, like, oh, did you know that there's like a book in school where there's like depictions of murder and depictions of rape and depictions of incest, like, is really fucked up? And George Santos is like, yeah, they should ban it. And then he goes, yeah, that's the Bible. Or it was Walter Masterson. Thank you. You're right. Walter Masterson with George, friend of the show, Walter Masterson with George Santos. And he goes, yeah, that's the Bible. You know what I mean? Like, so what do we do? You know, are we just going to ban the fucking Bible now? Is that what we're doing? Here,
there's a book I saw in the children's library where, like, these two daughters like take turns having sex with their dad. Everything, it was like crazy.
That's gross. I don't even know that.
That's the Bible.
Whatever.
That's the Bible, George.
I'm not.
That's the
Bible. Yeah. That's it. That's it. You can depict everything like that. You can depict everything like that. Oh no, the Reddit atheists. The Reddit atheists have gotten. The Reddit atheists are now on board with banning the Bible, so they're like, no, actually, maybe the censorship is good. Yeah, the Bible is freaky as hell, bro. Are we gonna go back to the dumbass PC bullshit? Please, no. What do you mean?
Bible. I'm not getting into scripture with you.
Okay.
Really not. Really not.
Okay, thank you, George. You know what? Let's get the Bible out of schools, public schools, private. You know what? There is a book.
So, I'll give you a great example of like Israel advocacy groups that have been able to successfully get some certain things banned in the UK. UK has a law called prescription. Okay, if a group, an entity, no matter what their advocacy is considered a prescribed group, then you can literally go to prison. Now, the understandable ones that you can't obviously advocate for would be like ISIS or Al-Qaeda, right? If you have like a pro-Al-Qaeda group in the UK, you can go to prison. If you like try to fundraise for Al-Qaeda, you're understandably going to go to prison for that. Except recently, they decided Palestine Action is also a group akin to Al-Qaeda and ISIS. But in that prescription legislation, they added a bunch of ISIS advocacy groups and Nazi groups into it, so that they had a couple like real understandable prescribed groups that they added onto the legislation. But the ultimate goal of the legislation was to actually stop Palestine Action, a pro-Palestinian advocacy group. So they always, these groups, these entities always operate like this, okay? What is this person doing? Oh, dude, a classic. No fucking sense of morality. I fucking hate Nazis. She can rot too. Anyone saw the game Schedule 1? You just play a drug dealer. No Pornhub in Oklahoma anymore. We got to go to jankier sites. Wait, what is this? I'm not on board with rape games. Why are we so into defending rape games, chat? No, you don't. Why are you calling people rapists in the chat? Just because of your own misunderstanding, Heidi Bang Bang. No, we're not saying that this is like a pro-rape game at all. What the fuck are you talking about? We're not saying I'm literally giving you an analogy of like the ultimate goal here being not to ban like games that are simply there to be rape simulators, okay? Do you not understand that you can literally make that advocacy for Grand Theft Auto 5? You could say like Grand Theft Auto 5 is a rape simulator game. And for these people, that's what they actually want to do. They want to ban Grand Theft Auto 5. They're just simply using the understandable games that are worthy of getting banned as an entry point. So I'm saying, you know, be mindful and recognize that blanket censorship is not good. There aren't, you know, hundreds of games on Steam that are like rape simulators, okay? They're using that as like a advocacy for blanket censorship. These same people called Mass Effect a sodomy simulator in the 2000s. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that person does deserve like some kind of timeout because they were just calling another chatter a rapist. It's fucking insane. Sorry, Christ, I can't even defend myself. Someone told me to fuck off. No, chatter, you're jumped by chatters are yelling at you because you called another chatter a rapist for no reason. You're fucking insane for that. Like, what the fuck? If left unguarded, this is setting a terrifying precedent, right? If left unguarded and unrestricted, it goes all the way up to Grand Theft Auto. Like Grand Theft Auto immediately banned. So it's okay to have rape games? No, that's not what I'm saying. But No Mercy's primary function is rape. No, I'm not saying banning No Mercy is fucked up. I'm saying it's valid. Oh my God, you guys are so stupid. I'm saying that these things have to be looked at in a case-by-case basis. No Mercy is a valid ban, okay? But the problem is the people that are pushing for this advocacy don't actually give a shit about just banning No Mercy. They're using No Mercy as a jump-off point. Hello? How many times do I have to keep repeating myself in this fucking community? Holy shit. Just like, this is common, okay? This is a common technique that right-wing advocacy groups use all the time. Nobody gives a fuck about trans athletes participating in high school swim meets, but they start the point of contention there. They are like, whoa, we got to protect our children. And then ultimately, their final goal is to eradicate all trans existence. But they try to find a thing that everyone is on board with. They try to find something that is seen as like weird or gross by at least a large enough percentage of the population that they can just like start their advocacy there, but it doesn't end there. It's never the end point. Okay? And there is obviously no comparison between like a rape game and fucking high school trans athletes, because the game that is a rape simulator is an understandable ban, whereas like high school participants in athletic competition that are trans are not worthy of being banned regardless, because there is no harm there. But yeah, they go after the valid games and they go after the adjacent sus games, dating games, Grand Theft Auto, etc. Then who knows? Animal abuse, no more Pokemon, I guess. Yeah, you can see anything.
And another scary fact, the article I was reading on stream, which I'm going to show you clips from so you can see about their previous attempts to go after things like Detroit Become Human and GTA 5, that article that I was reading then got taken down 8 hours after stream because Vice deemed it was a little too controversial, because the article wasn't super favorable to Collective Shout. So Collective Shout not only has pull in censoring games, but it looks like they can even take down some articles that are a little, harsh on how they're going about their mission or what they're trying to do here. In other words, it seems virtually impossible for Steam to host any adult games depicting child abuse. Rather, Collective Shout may be targeting popular video games that depict children in scenarios where they face
This is interesting because like this already is applied ahead of time. Like in Cyberpunk, for example, there are kids, but you can't do anything to the kids. Like you can't kill the kids. In most games, if there are any depictions of children whatsoever, you literally can't, like as a character, no matter how much freedom you have, you can't do anything. Like you can't harm them in any way. It's understandable. This is the reason why. This is part of the reason why they have these sorts of provisions.
Stress or harm, even if these depictions are intended to encourage concern and care in the player. From there, the organization may be describing these titles as featuring child abuse. In 2018, Collective Shout encouraged its supporters to sign a petition to ban Detroit Become Human for sale in Australia, claiming the game features child abuse and violence against women. The petition focused on an abusive father's violent behavior towards his housekeeper and daughter in the game. This dynamic, core to the character Kara's story arc, is intended to encourage empathy for the abused woman and child. While it's unclear whether Collective Shout is actively targeting Detroit Become Human in 2025, the removal of such a game would be akin to artistic censorship of material discussing misogynistic abuse against female family members. Targeting the game, in other words, could be considered anti-feminist in intent. That doesn't really make any sense. In 2014,
The Last of Us has to be banned because you can play as a child, and the main character is a child, and also there are fucking zombies that are trying to eat the child. I think a good analog here would be to compare it to like any depictions of children in movies and in TV shows, which would eliminate virtually all movies and TV shows that have kids in them. It's just like ridiculous. It sounds stupid when you think about it.
Organization called on Target to remove Grand Theft Auto 5 from store shelves, sharing a petition that claims the game encourages players to commit sexual violence and kill women. Collective Shout described GTA as if it were a misogynistic funhouse, stating the game lets players enact their fantasies of committing extreme violence against women, including punching women to the point of unconsciousness, killing them with a bat, gun, or machete, running them...
Yeah, but you can do that to everyone in that game. Do you see what I mean? It's just like, that's insane. Yeah, that's the point, man. You can do that to like every single person in the game. Like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, it promotes egalitarian murder. Just unlimited super violence to everyone.
Down with a car and setting them on fire as they continue screaming. What world are we living in? What? So that all this is only reserved and acceptable if it's men. Like if you're killing men with a bat, gun, and machete, running them down with the car and setting them on fire as they scream. These arguments are so weak and flimsy, and I think just downright detrimental to what they claim their mission is. This would basically, like these two things in conjunction, would make it so like most games won't even put women in there. So let's take the first example about like how children in like distress and harm.
The thing is, Charlie, I don't think these people care about that. They want all of those games to be banned. They want all games to be banned. That's it. They're not like thinking about, you know, what kind of impact this might have in video game development. That's not the purpose here. They don't give a shit. They don't play video games. They don't care about it. They think it's bad. They think it's demonic. They want all games to be banned regardless. So that's it. Unless it's a game that depicts incest and sex and rape and all that. But of course, that is a game that depicts the Bible. That's the only game that's appropriate.
Is something that they would target and try and take down. It's why they went after Detroit Become Human. Let's extend that scope. Things like Limbo, Last of Us, Out of Sight, like these games where there are kids present and they do go through like hardship, that would be removed under their guidelines here. In Detroit Become Human, it's not like they're trying to glorify this type of horrible thing. It is used as a way of showcasing how bad a situation is and getting empathy from the player for what is happening to these characters. And yet they want to take it down, even though it is used to deliver positive messaging to the player. It's like they don't want any deep themes in their games, and not only that, it's like they don't want women to even be interactable in the games. So also something that wouldn't fly under their protocol here would be things like Tomb Raider. Any game where a female is leading it wouldn't really be possible because the women in the game are going to go through distress. Like Lara Croft goes through a lot worse than what they listed for GTA 5 being a misogynistic funhouse. Lara Croft gets killed in so many different ways, potentially if you fail certain things. She's constantly being hunted, hurt. It's all like pretty much no game with a female character in it could be made if Collective Shout continues to gain this much power. It's a fucking absurd notion here. God of War, the new God of War, those games couldn't be made because Kratos' son obviously goes through a lot there. That would be a child in a harmful and distressing situation. It would be poo-pooed by Collective Shout. They would banish that shit to the Shadow Realm. Like, their rules on what is and is not acceptable are just unhinged. Again, this would fundamentally, like, scrub women from video games. Like, I don't know why they're not grasping that concept. They call GTA 5 a misogynistic funhouse because you can hurt women in it and that kind of thing, which you can also do to men. But
Collective Shout is not like a leftist group, but just because they say that they're a feminist group doesn't mean that they're actually a left-wing group. They are a right-wing Christian group that is anti-trans, anti-gay, and anti-abortion. It's just like, this happens so frequently. I don't know. If a Muslim advocacy group was arguing for the same stuff, everybody would suddenly understand censorship like this was wrong. Oh, exactly. That's the other side of the story. Christian advocacy groups in the Western world get to do this kind of shit, but God forbid it was a fucking Muslim advocacy group that said stuff like that. Everyone would clearly understand exactly what's going on here. They'd be like, get the fuck out of here. We don't want this barbaric nonsense here. The difference, of course, between myself and a lot of these other people is that, like, I don't give a shit what kind of advocacy group this is. If it's a Muslim advocacy group, which, by the way, right-wing Christian movements have actually found allegiances every now and then with some of these like reactionary Muslim advocacy groups as well, to get certain things banned, like the Supreme Court case that came down recently that decided in favor of these like religious advocacy groups, that in schools you can't actually show depictions of like gay people or whatever in the teaching material. That was a unified front from Muslim advocacy groups and Christian advocacy groups, as a matter of fact. Yeah. Do you think I give a shit? No, I don't. I don't give a fuck if it's a Muslim advocacy group or a Christian advocacy group. I care about right-wing reactionary attitudes restricting people's free speech. Okay? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's a right-wing Muslim group or a right-wing Christian group. What I care about is the right-wing element here.
Issue is exclusively because women can also be hurt and killed in GTA 5 just like the men can. It's not like GTA 5 is telling the player, you have to go commit these sexual violent acts against women right now. We need you as the player to score 100 sexual violent crimes against our women in the city right now. Go out there. That's the quest. Go fucking...
Yeah, he got duped by the whole, like, we're doing this for girls and women shit. And he thinks this is like a left-wing cancel culture thing. But Collective Shout reeks of homeowners association meets soccer mom energy it's a correct lock on this, by the way. Yeah, it's more than an SFW. They took on all tagged adult games, basically no 18 plus. The library has so much less horror now. But yeah, fuck this lady. And also Stop Killing Games is another initiative that I'm on board with. But also this person was like insane with the way that she was able to just stir up enough controversy and do a email campaign to one of these like dumb boomer led payment processors that they got scared and they got fucking scared, and now they're cracking the whip on Steam